Hung is an associate lawyer at Erskine Rodan and Associates, the Melbourne-based immigration law firm that has been helping clients with visa issues for over 35 years. One of Lena's specialties is in the area of student visas, and she'll be talking with me today about this fast-changing area of immigration law. Hello, Lena.
Hi.
Lena, what would be the type of student visa that would typically cause the most headaches for the applicant and have them calling you up for help?
Student visas. Well, there are so many requirements for a student visa, and it really depends on which country they're from and what sort of course they're studying. So the requirements for each student visa are quite different for each different category. So the different requirements relate to the English level that they have to achieve before they can apply for the visa, and as well as financial requirements that they have to meet to ensure that they can cover the costs of the course, as well as living costs in Australia and travel costs to be able to go back to their own country at the end of the course.
What are the usual stumbling blocks with applying for one of the student visas, given that there are so many different categories? But so what would be the usual stumbling blocks and where people can go wrong?
I think financial requirements is one of the areas where they are not sure what sort of documentation they have to provide to prove that they have enough money to cover those living costs and course fees and travel costs. So countries, what immigration considers a high risk, will obviously need to show a higher threshold for the financial requirements, and same with English. So English is another issue where they have to prove that they've got enough English to satisfy the course requirements as well as immigration's requirements.
Okay. When you've had a mishap with a student visa application, and that's not you, that's the student, and say they've experienced a knockback, what should they do next?
Because there are two types of student visas in where you can lodge it in Australia and those lodged outside of Australia. The ones lodged outside of Australia unfortunately don't have a right of appeal through the merits of their case.
So that's the end of the story.
So that's the end of the story. There may be an avenue for them to apply through the courts, but that usually might not achieve the outcome that they want to get, which is the actual student visa.
Yep.
So in cases where they have lodged the student visa from outside of Australia, one of the things they should look at is probably getting the file from immigration and having a look at what sort of documentation they did provide, because a lot of them go through either a migration agent or an education agent where they're not really sure exactly what sort of documentation was provided in their application and what explanation was given in terms of proving they were a genuine student. So the best thing would be getting the file from immigration, seeking professional advice, going through the file and seeing what information was presented to immigration, and if they have any additional information that would support a new student visa application.
What is the most difficult student visa case that you've been able to solve for a client?
Student visas, it is the financials and English requirements, and because a lot of them are dealt with outside of Australia, communicating with the case officers overseas can be quite difficult, and the requirements they specify there sometimes are quite different to the requirements specified here in Australia.
Okay.
So a lot of them might find that the requirements they've imposed are a lot higher than what the law actually states. And so in those cases, the students may be faced with issues from the case officer demanding more documentation when it's not really required. So I guess they're one of those issues that we'd help and deal with by communicating with the case officer and with the student in their application.
What excites you most about this area of law?
Well, student visas, I think it's relating to Australia's education system, and I think people want to have a good quality education, and Australia is renowned for providing and delivering that good quality education system, and I think as a student you want to be part of that, and as an immigration lawyer to be able to assist the students in getting and having that opportunity to study in Australia is fantastic.
Your firm, Erskine Rodan Associates, has recently published the definitive guidebook Migrating to Australia. You've contributed to the book. You did the whole section relating to business skills and have also written a separate book on business skills. So you've both created the content and also you've guided people in your role as a lawyer. How useful for your student clients would it be, do you think, to first read the book?
Oh, absolutely. It will give them an outline of what they should provide in their application, what they should know about the student visas, student visa conditions. So it's really important that if you are committed and you're realistic about coming to Australia to study, you have to know what the requirements are and what to expect. So I think the book is good that it explains that in a language that they can understand. So it's just not all legalese.
That is one of the great things about the book. It's so readable, it's understandable, it makes sense. We all think that legal language is highly technical, but the book itself just cuts through all that.
Yes.
So well done on that. If you were from outside Australia and you were an intending student wanting to come to Australia to study, knowing everything that you do with guiding many people through the process as a lawyer, what would you do if you were now outside the country trying to get in to study that would help you succeed?
Sure. I think if you're a student and you're realistic about wanting to come to study in Australia, and it is a huge investment. The course fees here are quite high, and with that I think you should find out as much as you can about the course, the requirements of getting into the course, what your conditions are staying in Australia.
Thanks for your time today, Lena.
Thank you.
Lena Hung from Erskine Rodan and Associates Immigration Lawyers, helping you achieve success with your visa application.